Less than a month away until OP14's release in Japan, we finally got all 7 leaders that are going to be contained in this set. You may have seen them circulating online or posted in our Discord server where automatic translations are posted shortly after reveals. Link in the description if you want to join. And so in this video, we're going to talk about each one of those leaders, just in case, you haven't seen them yet, or maybe garner some ideas on what these leaders can provide. I'm going to want to get some of this set, and so I also need to pay rent this month, so let's hear from a word from our sponsor. Listen, if you're itching for a brand new playmat, now is the time to check out Nengarden, the sponsor of this video. Not only do they have brand new pre-orders up on their website for Chaos Crew, Green Fury, and the Absolute Ruler designs, which by the way, are phenomenal. But if you're a fan of Gol D. Roger, Nengarden actually put out a new playmat called The Journey's End, showcasing Gol D. Roger himself, and you yourself can find his one piece with the possibility of a 1 in 20 chance to get the special wanted playmat. And on top of that, if you're like me and you absolutely prefer cloth mats, Nengarden has officially posted on their site cloth mats for Green Fury, Absolute Ruler, Berserk, and Journey's End. Plus, if you want a ton of other great accessories that aren't just playmats, they've got the King of Hearts t-shirt, matching pin, other pins alongside of it through the whole cake island, and even stickers. Make sure with whatever you want in Nengarden, use my code Atrocious for 8% off. The link to their website is in the description below. Thank you so much for Nengarden for sponsoring the video, and let's get back to that video. Okay, just a quick point before we actually get into it, and I promise it's productive. This is set to release in the West in January 2026. I'm seeing a lot of people online saying that rotation is going to hit before OP14, which is literally not true. The block number system rotation is going to start April 1st, 2026. Just wanted to get that out of the way before we go into this. Okay, so using our good friend Cardi Kaizoku's website, let's take a look at Trafalgar Law. Trafalgar Law is a mono red, 7 Warlords of the Sea, Supernovas, and Hard Pirates type, a 3-type leader. 5 life, 5,000 power red. Activate main once per turn. Select 2 of your Supernovas or Hard Pirates type characters. Swap the base power of the selected characters with each other during this turn. I think this could be a really interesting leader, right? You talk about being able to make puny type characters really big in the Supernova card pool, which has kind of existed since set 1, right? I've heard some people talk about the set 1 SR Luffy that people have been playing in Rayleigh. Now, very obviously, like most of the other leaders in this set, right, we're going to need to see a full set to see the full potential of this leader. One of the really interesting interactions that I've thought about is how Kid Killer can be put in this deck, right? Kid Killer, one of the more popular supernovas in this card game, specifically on the when attacking, says this character gains plus 2,000 power. The biggest supernova that we have right now in the card pool is this promo Luffy, right? A 7,000 power character. Think about doing this 7,000 power on the Luffy, selecting it as your first supernova card through Trafalgar Law's leader effect, and then giving that base 7,000 power to Kid and Killer before he swings to make him a 9,000 power character. I think just starting out with combinations like that can be so cool within the game and in this deck to make it an aggressive, powerful leader. And that doesn't even talk about how you can start to enable different 3,000 power or around their characters like Luffy, and also Luffy, and even maybe Luffy. Especially because on top of that, we know that we're getting this time for a counterattack effect, right? Which in order to utilize this plus 4,000 power, you need to have an 8,000 power or more character on the field. But I think it's more than likely that this leader is probably going to contain some sort of 8,000 power base boss monster SR. That's just a theory, just to let you all know, but it would make sense alongside this leader and event that we got revealed to be able to help the deck synergize very well, especially, when it does come rotation 4 months after release of this set. I think rotation actually aligns with the supposed English release of OP15, which will be really curious to try to make content on that, I will say. Next, going into Dracule Mihawk. This was the first leader, I believe, that was revealed in this set. It's a 5 life, 5,000 power slash type 7 Warlords of the Sea leader. I honestly kind of wish that it had a Muggy Kingdom tag. But anyways, It's got two different effects, this one being a continuous effect that if your opponent's leader has the slash attribute, this leader gains 1,000 power. Kind of works well, right? He's like the strongest swordsman. And it'll be very interesting too within the format when other decks may be running around that are slash, like Goldie Roger, Zoro, even stuff like Zoro Sanji. His second leader effect though is an activate main once per turn. You may rest one of your cards if there is a character with cost of 5 or more. Set up to 3 of your Dawn cards as active, and then you cannot play character cards from your hand during this turn. We've seen this added keyword a lot recently in the One Piece trading card game, right? You talk about like the secret rare Luffy, you talk about the OP13 Shanks, and even stuff like the OP12 Dracule Mihawk, which limit what kind of characters that you can play after restanding Dawn. I think this leader can be most interesting, right? Especially because that activate main is resting a card. It can be any card. It could be a Dawn card, it could be a character card, it could be a leader card, or even what I hope to be a stage. There's only a handful of green stages right now in the One Piece trading card game, but think about if in OP14 you got like a 1-cost stage like Land of Wano. Even if you didn't get a stage, you might even consider playing a Land of Wano card if you could get a Land of Wano synergistic deck going, because the stage in the One Piece trading card game is very difficult to remove. There are actually very few cards within this game that actually remove a stage, right? I think the most relevant one right now is like Wiper. But think about with that one Dawn in synergy with your leader effect, if you have that 5 or more character on field, you're gonna be able to restand 3 Dawn consistently every single turn. This stage is almost like a mini Cavendish in a sense, especially when you have 6,000 plus leaders running around, like Ace, right? A 6,000 base leader, Roger, a 7,000 power leader. It could be really nice for Dracule Mihawk to restand a ton of Dawn to be able to swing and hit some of those numbers to be able to at least force one card out of hand, especially since green slash is already in such a good spot, like with stuff like Perona, right? And plenty of great slash cards. You know, I'm talking about the 6-cost Trafalgar Law and OP13, an excellent card, being able to play out another 5-cost character. There's so many combinations of what you can do within this deck, and I'm really excited to see its support in the future, because I think even though its leader effect is a little underwhelming looking at it first glance without the support, I think this kind of has one of the more higher ceilings within the set. Now, Jinbe, a leader that some people hold not as highly as some of the others, I will say it's a 5-life, 5,000 power strike, mono blue, Fishman, 7 Warlords of the Sea, Sun Pirates type. A lot of 3-type leaders in this set, I think. He's got 1 leader effect in activate main. You trash a card from hand and give up to 2 rested Dawn to one of your Fishman or Merfolk type leaders or character cards. Now, in terms of blue Merfolk, there's not a single card revealed that actually fits that typing. And if you talk about Fishman, well, there are some good cards with... Oh, wait, no. You're banned. There's only a few cards within this set, like Arlong, right, that are very interesting at least, but I don't know if it really fits. Ooh, this Jinbe though, this Jinbe is probably okay. If you had like a Jinbe 7 Warlords of the Sea type, I don't know if this card would actually be good. But again, it's really just going to depend on his support. One of the things that I will say though about this leader effect is that you can use this activate main as many times as you want within your turn, right? If you wanted to, you could trash 5 cards from your hand to attach 10 rested Dawn to your Fishman and Merfolk type leaders or characters. Especially with Perfume Femur giving a leader or character with the 7 Warlords of the Sea type trait unblockable during that turn. It wouldn't surprise me to see this leader jump up on people's radar and make a little bit of noise in the scene if the support is half decent. The only thing about this though is that you're constantly trashing a card from your hand to be able to utilize this leader effect. So you're really going to need some Fishman and Merfolk type characters that really draw cards, or just in general draw cards in general. Now, there's another blue leader within the set in Boa Hancock, a 4-life, 5,000 color blue-yellow leader. They've been on blue-yellow leaders lately, it feels like. She's got 2 different effects. On opponent's turn, when you play a character, draw 1 card. She's got another effect, Dawn ×1 once per turn. When your Amazon Lily or Kuja Pirates type character with 5,000 base power or more is KO'd, your opponent adds 1 card from the top of their life to their hand. I've already started watching several games with this leader and a core that is built not necessarily with OP14 support, because Kuja Pirates and stuff like that have had support in previous sets like OP07. And this leader is really cool in my opinion, right? You already have a search engine with Kuja Pirates and Amazon Lilies with Gloriosa, right, from OP07. And this Boa Marigold is actually a huge card within this deck. It is not only a blocker, but you can play a Boa Hancock with a cost of 6 or less from your hand at the same time, flooding the board. Remember this Boa Hancock from OP07? You can go ahead and play that. Remember how this Boa Hancock got printed in EB03? Well, you could go ahead and play this too. And don't forget that we've got a couple other good cards within this that could work, like Boa Hancock from PRBO2, which I think skyrocketed in price once the leader got revealed. And also the starter deck 17, the Doflamingo starter deck, Boa Hancock. You also in OP13, for anyone who does not know, got this if your leader is Boa Hancock or multicolored on KO, draw 2 cards. So cheating out all these Boa Hancocks, and there's other Kuja Pirates that you can utilize, you can see how this Dawn ×1 leader effect can go off a ton. You might also try to slide in some trigger character cards like this Boa Hancock, right? A blocker from the original Crocodile starter deck. Just says play the card, right? You would be able to draw 1 card off of that. Basically saying, okay, you drew the life still, essentially, or the 1 card from life, but now you got a little blocker on field. Especially because the Kuja Pirates and Amazon Lily has predominantly been blue up to this point. It'll be curious to see what yellow cards get put in this deck to be able to synergize well and utilize. I know a lot of people are actually playing around with the idea of slotting in the brand new Nami within this deck, right? Even though it's not Amazon Lily or Kuja Pirates, just a generically good yellow card. Now, Don Quixote Doflamingo, in my opinion, is debatably a top 5 leader art within this game, base rarity at least. He's a 5 life, 5,000 power, purple, 7 Warlords of the Sea, Don Quixote Pirates type with 1 leader effect. On your opponent's attack once per turn, you Don -1, select your leader or one of your Don Quixote Pirates type characters, and you change that target of this attack to the selected card. Literally got his leader effect, which is a built-in "Oh Come My Way." Now, Purple Don Quixote has already been building up a solidified archetype, right? One of the more notable cards is Don Quixote Rosinante. You have seen this in Blue Purple Luffy as of late be an absolute staple now. Being able to filter events from your hand to draw more cards and then restand events as active to use for the counter. Especially when you talk about the Don Quixote Rosinante from OP10, right? On opponent's attack once per turn, resting one of your Dawn to add a Dawn card as active. You basically, on opponent's attack after your 8 Dawn turn, playing down this character, have a free leader effect. And by the way, you can redirect an attack to an active character like Don Quixote Doflamingo that's 9,000 power to where all of your characters are actually a blocker technically because of your leader effect. Not only that, you have a nice search engine already with the sugar, right? But also you have different on KO effects within this deck like Violet, what's her name? Especially if you're oriented towards a purple event deck, right? Very similar to something like Sugar, maybe not as aggressive in the events, but you still have good events. You can utilize your leader effect to redirect an attack on this character to be able to KO it and then utilize that Dawn -1 to get a purple event from your trash. That purple event also not being leader locked, right, to getting a specific type of purple event. You can grab so many useful events like Judgment of Hell, like Slow Beam Sword, even some other creative choices that you could find that are synergistic within your deck, like Little Black Bears. This is probably my favorite leader within the set, right? For those of you that don't know on this channel, I love Purple Yellow Crocodile and the ability to use Oh Come My Way, and I'm really excited to abuse that fact with this leader. This is probably going to be my main deck in OP14, right before we get any of the huge big support within this set. You've also got Crocodile, a mono black leader, 5 life, 5,000 power, Baroque works with his 7 Warlords of the Sea tag, has 2 different effects. One is an ongoing effect that says all of your opponent's characters cannot be removed from the field by your effects. Then has an activate main of you can KO one of your characters with the type including Baroque works. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -10 cost during this turn, then trash 2 cards from the top of your deck. It seems really weird, but the idea of this deck, I believe, belief is that you want to have cards with a cost of 0 on your opponent's side of the field to activate other effects. Right, look at this Miss Doublefinger that was put out in EB03. It's a Baroque Works 4-life, 5,000 power character. On play, if there's a character with cost of 0 or a character with a cost of 8 or more, draw 1 card. More than likely, you're going to be using your effect to get a character to 0, so this Miss Doublefinger allows itself to replace it in the hand. We also have other costs of 0 effects, right? From EB01, this Brook, I don't know if it's good, but like if your opponent has a character with cost of 0, this character gains Rush. Again, not saying that it's good, but it synergizes within the deck because your leader effect can get almost any character in the game to 0, right? This Onegumo, this guy gains Banish, this guy gains Blocker. He gains plus 2,000 power when attacking. He also gains plus 2,000 power. He gains 3,000 power. And some of my favorite cards to potentially synergize with this leader is Smoker, right? Being able to get double attack and cannot be KO'd by effects. That's a huge number, and especially in a format with Marcus Mars, right? Being able to KO 5 cost bases or less. Well, this guy can't. This leader effect's kind of wonky, and especially as a black deck, kind of seems counterintuitive to black's identity. Right up to this point, black decks really just being removal based, and this leader cannot remove. I mean, think about if you could -10 anything on the field by just trashing 1 card and you could remove stuff, this deck would be so broken. I'm excited to see where they take this leader, especially as they've started giving more Baroque Works support, but don't be surprised in my opinion if you start seeing a Navy tag alongside this leader. And the final leader of this set revealed just this morning officially, a black-yellow Gecko Moria. It's a 4-life, 5,000 power, Thriller Bark Pirate 7 Warlords of the Sea leader with an activate main once per turn of KOing one of your own Thriller Bark Pirates type characters. Your leader and all of your characters gain plus 1,000 power during the turn. And if you trash 3 cards from your hand when attacking, you can add 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life. Right, I don't think this KOing a Thriller Bark type character is going to be insanely difficult, right? Especially when you have different small bodies on the field within this archetype already, like Enoop, right? And plus alongside Enoops on play, you could play this down, get the on play of draw 2, trash 2, and then use your leader effect to KO a Noop, right? Because it's an on KO effect, and then you draw another 2 and trash 2. That's pretty cool. This on KO from the Jagoro of the Wind can give another 1,000 somewhere. Victorious Sindri, right? One of the most popular small bodies within the Thriller Bark archetype is a nice 2K, but after you build up your trash through that on play effect, you can go ahead and trash it. You could have the Thriller Bark stage, right? You could utilize this Thriller Bark stage to be able to play out a chum body like Victorious Injury, like Enoop, onto the field, and then go ahead and use your leader effect to KO it to give everything plus 1,000 power. I think this stage can be really good in Gecko, especially just trying to cycle that leader effect every single turn. My only curious thing is the second leader effect, right? The when attacking. You're really going to have to try to build up cards in your hand with this leader effect, because even though healing a life on your when attacking can be crazy good, 3 cards is pretty costly. I'm trying to look around. I don't think there's really anything in this that are like draw a card besides the Anoop, right? Ooh, think about doing Oars. If you had something like Oars in your deck and this Thriller Bark stage, you could have like a weird kind of hyper loop to be able to have a 7,000 power character that can attack. That would be really cool. I think this combo is really bad though, because 4 cost removal is really good in the game, but I think it's a neat start. I think Gecko also is in that category of we're going to need to see a good amount of support, but it also wouldn't surprise me if that support doesn't necessarily draw cards, right? Because you probably, as a game dev, don't want a Gecko Moria to use that when attacking effect like more than twice in a game. Maybe like 3 times is the max that you would expect. But it's going to be really interesting to see what comes out of it. And again, all the reveals and translations do populate within our Discord server in the cards revealed section. And they happen pretty soon after the reveal actually happens, whether that's a YouTube video, whether that's the official One Piece trading card game account, etc. Let me know down in the comments below what your favorite leader is in this OP14 set, and subscribe if you haven't already, because EBO3 content and OP13 content for the West is coming out on this channel later this week. I'm Jake, thank you so much, and I hope to see you again soon.